WND live on the air, July 22nd. It's Monday. Boy, oh boy, what a weekend. It is great to be back here with you folks. Last week I was in Milwaukee for the Republican National Convention, and that was a whirlwind of a week. But we are here. So much has happened. We have Biden dropping out of the campaign over the weekend. He's out. And now Kamala is in. She just got Nancy Pelosi's endorsement this morning. And then, of course, the mysteries of what happened last Saturday at the shooting is still, questions are still being raised as the Secret Service Director Cheadle is up on the Hill getting grilled by both the left and the right. I might say there's been some questions coming across her on both sides of the aisle there. Let's bring in the panel here. We got everybody. We got a stacked deck today, gentlemen. Let's get this thing rolling here. Josh, you guys held down the fort last week while we were out in. I say we. I was. Well, Kara was there too, right? Yeah, we were out there in Milwaukee, and the news was flying fast and furious. You guys had some great coverage on there, but the big news today that we're coming into is Biden's dropping out.
Yeah, Matt, I don't even know how to keep pace with all this stuff. You know, I was at church yesterday and Twitter blew up at church.
Yes.
We're only a week away from Trump being shot. Everything in between, the RNC news was gigantic. JD Vance. I mean, recapping this is getting exhausting. And now Biden's going to supposedly drop out via tweet, via X. We're not even sure if it's his signature. It's getting too crazy, and everybody's going to get tired of hearing that. I know they are. And by the way, if you're watching this right now, thanks for coming on. Can you comment on what you think is going on and what's the next thing to come? Because I'm kind of ready for the asteroid at this point.
Yeah. Joe, I have to ask you, the whole world right now is asking, where is Joe Biden? All we've gotten are a few tweets. We've gotten a letter that with a signature that doesn't seem to match his official signature. And as of the top of the hour here, I don't believe anybody has publicly seen the president. Do we know where he is?
Well, we're told he is recovering from or recuperating from COVID, his mysterious COVID diagnosis that came just hours after he said last week that the only way he would drop out is if that he were given a medical diagnosis of some kind. So in theory, he's in Delaware, in a basement, presumably, because that's his favorite place to be over the years. But no, we haven't seen him. And it's funny that you bring up those questions about the signatures on his supposed resignation letter, which was not on official letterhead. We're actually working on a story right now to be posted soon on WorldNet Daily. But was it Joe Biden who actually wrote that letter, or is it some kind of political coup by the deep state, the powers that be that want him out? So hopefully in our story we'll have some more answers to that. But those questions are being raised right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions being raised, and as we continue to look at the Democrat Party, just kind of like they're trying to keep the ship afloat here. Brian, let me go to you. Have we ever seen anything like this in the history of either party, but specifically in the Democrat Party? Like, what is there? Where do they go from here? What can they look back on to try and regain some sort of stranglehold, some sort of hold on their future?
Oh, thanks, Matt. This is definitely unprecedented. The closest analog I can think of is in 1968, when President Lyndon Johnson, who had just won the previous election, a massive landslide over Barry Goldwater, he's suddenly super unpopular because of the Vietnam War and the racial strife. And so he announces in March that he is not going to stand for election. And that was after he came out of the New Hampshire primary with less than people expected. But that was still March. That was months before the Democratic convention. They ended up having a campaign. Eugene McCarthy and Hubert Humphrey, the vice president, and Bobby Kennedy. To connect that to this year, you had Robert F. Kennedy Sr. running for president, and of course he gets shot in California. And so they had a crazy convention. Hubert Humphrey, the vice president, ended up being nominated despite not winning any state primaries, which looks like we're about to have happen again with the incumbent vice president getting nominated without having won a single primary. But things were different then. the primary system was much less formalized. It was actually after that they reformed the system to have primaries in all 50 states, primaries or caucuses. And so this really is unprecedented in modern times, that a president would, the incumbent president would win all the primaries. He won every single one except for American Samoa. And then they're just going to swap him out like it's a tag team at a boxing match or a pinch hitter in a baseball game. And it really shows, I think, the farce that the concept of democracy has become today.
It really is. I mean, I can't imagine that we've been having it beaten to our heads. Democracy, democracy, democracy. I think Tucker said it at best last week at the RNC, and then here we are. The guy who was nominated by his party across the country in all these different states that had Democrat primaries has been effectively just pushed aside. And it was done by a text. It was by PDF. I think somebody tweeted out he resigned by PDF. I mean, clearly the party apparatus is in charge here. It doesn't matter who commands any sort of attention, but with votes, it really, and then you have to wonder, here's the letter here. We have that posted over on our X account at WorldNet Daily. So make sure you're following that. But this also, people are raising the question, if he's bowing out for these reasons, how can he even remain president? And I believe we have a clip here, where AOC is discussing this issue, and then Jack Posobiec was on the Charlie Kirk show, brought up some points that I think are very relevant to be raised. Let's watch that clip.
And I'm gonna say what a lot of these folks aren't saying. I'm just gonna say it. If you think that there is consensus among the people who want Joe Biden to leave, that they will support Vice President Harris, you would be mistaken. And I'm going to say that because if they're going to come out and say all their little things on background off the record, but they're not going to be fully honest, I'm going to be honest for them. I'm in these rooms. I see what they say in conversations. A lot of them are not just interested in removing the president. They are interested in removing the whole ticket.
Your reaction, Jack Posobiec.
Wow, Charlie, it's amazing because I was just thinking about that live stream as Tyler was talking, and there was a lot, as I guess she would say, there's a lot of tea that was spilled on that live stream. And so AOC and those clips, by the way, have just become one of President Trump and J.D. Vance's best gifts for the next couple of months and really just a few weeks going forward here, because we're just about halfway through the summer. And then once the fall rolls around, that's really just a shootout to Election Day. Look, and certainly when early votes start going in, look, she said it exactly right. She said it exactly right. This was a coup. This was a takedown of the Democrat process. This was something that was done in the back rooms and shady deals. By the way, how are you going to call Donald Trump a threat to democracy now? How are you going to call Donald Trump?
There you go.
Incredible. Guys, Josh, you were saying something off the air earlier about how
was I swearing, Matt? Is that what I was doing?
Yeah, well, we didn't want to get to there. If you were an adversary, and it's not like I'm saying anything that no one else has said yet, but if you're an adversary of the United States, what are we looking at here?
I'm thinking about nukes, Matt. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about my shelter and my food. We probably need to get an advertiser on here that is about shelters and food and just getting clean water after. We should be attacked at any moment now. This is ridiculous. Yeah. Has America been any weaker in the nuclear age as we are at this moment? Maybe Kennedy's assassination, possibly. But even then, the Pentagon was extremely strong. And now we have guys like Lloyd Austin, the black man, as Joe Biden calls him. We don't know if he's going to drop out and go into the hospital in any minute. So No, this is so alarming. I want to laugh, but I'm having a hard time. I'm like tuning into Alex Jones every second to hear what is likely to happen next.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, these moments are not Vivek Ramaswamy. We have a clip. Let's do clip number 4 with Vivek over a period of time last year, kind of predicting where we were going to be today. So let's do that clip number 4.
There's a myth that President Biden's running for president. I think they just put a brain-dead, hollowed-out husk of a human being in the White House because that's more convenient for them. The risk is a thinking person could change their mind. They don't want somebody who could change their mind. They want Joe Biden.
Mark my words, Joe Biden will not be the nominee for the Democratic Party.
We know he's not even the president of the United States. He's a puppet for the managerial class. Step up and be honest about who you're actually going to put up so we can have an honest debate. Biden should step aside so we can see whether it's Newsom or Michelle Obama or whoever else.
Right,
just tell us the truth so we can have an honest debate.
The president is healthy and vigorous, fit enough to perform his presidential duties.
Fit for duty.
Fit for duty. Fit to successfully execute the duties of the presidency.
Excuse me, with dealing with everything we have to do with, look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Sorry for my loud laugh.
Beat it to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, he beat it to death. Exactly. Joe, what do you make of this? I mean, this is the diehard Democrats who are watching MSNBC. At the end of that montage there, you saw what they've been told for the past year and a half, or even since during the 2020 election. Joe is strong. He's vibrant. Just because he's a little older or he slurs his words a couple, like he's still a great commander in chief and everything. And then that veil was dropped during the debate. We've been seeing this. What do you think of the gaslighting that's been going on?
Well, it's obvious he's not sharp as a tack or fit as can be, as we've been told over and over by the Democrats. Here is their modus operandi, if you haven't figured it out by now. It's called lying, deception. This is what they do on virtually every issue. You can just listen to what they say and take the exact 180-degree opposite of that, and that's what's really going on. So whether it's Joe Biden is completely healthy and fine and strong and ready to be president, just immediately think that he's on his last legs. I mean, is he going to come out of this COVID that he's got, or is he mysteriously just going to fade away? As the Russians would always say years ago, oh, he died in a tragic accident, kind of thing. But it's shocking. But when you watch politics on a regular basis, you know that they lie. I mean, we have people telling us all the time in our WND polls that every time they open their mouths, they're lying. So it's just no surprise. Vivek Ramaswamy, was predicting that he wouldn't be there in the fall of last year, and everybody in the spring of this year was saying, oh, it's going to be Michelle Obama on the ticket, which might be the case. So are these people prophets, or do they just see the obvious of what's going on? That's the question.
Right. Yeah. And Brian, Vivek was also said on camera at one point that he understands we're not that the Republican Party and anybody else who wants to oppose the Democrats, they're not up against a particular person. They're up against a machine. And as Joe, just as you just said, we're heading into this, what's now going to be an open convention, people, coalescing behind Kamala Harris. But what do you think the machine is going to really do?
Well, I can't predict exactly what they're going to do, but we've seen what they've done in the past. I just looked up an article from The Atlantic from March of 2020 after Biden won the South Carolina primary, which was kind of the fait accompli they used to justify him winning the nomination. And it says, "Stay alive, Joe Biden. Democrats need little from the frontrunner beyond his corporeal presence." So
his corpse.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's... They were admitting there 4 years ago what a lot of us know, but what a lot of regular citizens haven't quite seen, is that the president really is just a figurehead. He's just the face they put on this regime, this, what Vivek called the managerial state, what some people call the administrative state, what we call the deep state. It's the massive organism of unelected bureaucrats who are really making the decisions about what's happening in our country. We, the way our Constitution is written and the way we conceive of our government is that there is one man who ultimately makes the final decision on a lot of things. But that doesn't seem to be the case. And they're basically coming out and admitting it. It doesn't matter who they put on the ticket, whether it's Biden or Vice President Harris or Michelle Obama or Governor Whitmer, Governor Newsom, whomever. They're just the figurehead on top of this regime. They can switch out that person at will, and it's not going to make a difference. And so it's true. Donald Trump is not running against a person. It doesn't matter who his opponent is. He's running against this massive system.
Right, right. And in stark contrast, Donald Trump is not even the guy, he's the figurehead of the people at this moment. And so you have basically, right, Josh, the people versus the machine. I mean, this is the ultimate battle. This is the thing that we little people have been, in the dark corners of the internet or pursing out here and there. Like, we've been trying to pound into people's heads that, like, we are up against a machine, and it's not just a political machine. It's the media, it's entertainment, it covers all facets, academia. This is a machine that has been moving us towards what we just went through with COVID, as an example, versus the people. You agree with that, Ed?
Absolutely. It has been a machine. It used to be called the Democratic machine, especially in places like Chicago, is known for that. But I think there's like this, I kind of sound dire when I talk about nukes, and I'm only halfway kidding, but think about the gigantic movements that are taking place. So in 1 week's time, the machine has to, spin up and remove their puppet who literally poops standing up at big events. That would be Joe Biden, if you didn't know. And it has to move because some massive move of providence saved Donald Trump's life. Now the machine has to react, and we get to see that it is a machine. It's not Jill Biden. It's not Joe Biden. It's these puppet masters in the background.
Right. And so so moving ahead now, as you can see, Biden in his letter endorses Kamala Harris. Nancy Pelosi came out and endorsed. I believe the Clintons did the same. Do they not know who Kamala Harris really is? I mean, are they doing? Is this sort of the mental capacity of Joe Biden was gaslit over the past 3 years? Have we not been paying attention? Have they been doing the same thing with Kamala? Has she been said to have been the most intellectually brilliant mind to occupy the vice presidential office in 3 generations? Because we have some clips here that if you've never seen Kamala Harris in action, let's play a little bit of what is this? Clip number 6. It's 4 minutes. We don't have to watch the whole thing, but let's enjoy this.
Be unburdened by what has been. What can 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 be unburdened by what has been. What we can see, what we believe can be, unburdened by what has been. What can be.
What a visionary.
Yeah. By the way, if you haven't seen it, everybody should use a search engine to find the Babylon Bee. They did a brilliant spoof piece about her speeches, written by a 6-year-old child, a 6-year-old
Joe,
boy.
ask and you shall receive.
Oh, you have that.
Let's take a look at that. That was on the lineup.
Over Bartholomew, and I'm 16 and a half years old, and I'm the speechwriter for Kamala Harris. My mommy and daddy say, if you find a job you love, you'll never have to work a day in your life. Morning, Frank.
Yeah, hey, Oliver.
And my parents were right. Ever since I was little, I liked words. Writing words is fun, so I made writing words my job. Every politics person has a writer, like me, to make good words for them to say.
Space is exciting. Space, it affects us all. And it connects us all.
I got that idea when I was thinking about space and how big it is. Man, it's big. It's not all fun, though. Sometimes I have to write about bad stuff, like war.
Ukraine is a country in Europe. It exists next to another country called Russia. Russia is a bigger country. Russia is a powerful country. Russia decided to invade a smaller country called Ukraine. So basically that's wrong.
It's cool to see the words I've typed good actually get set on TV. It's fun.
And she wasn't talking to kindergartners there. She was talking to the military when she was describing where Ukraine and Russia lie. Oh boy. So yeah, so there's there's going to be a lot of attention paid to that. Donald Trump already is on the case when it comes to that. When he had that great interview with Tucker Carlson, and he talked about how Kamala likes to rhyme. Do we have that? Do we have that clip? It's a short one, so we can probably just play it, overlay it.
The Kamala rhyming clip.
What number is that?
8.
Okay, here we go. She has some bad moments. Her moments are almost as bad as his. I think his are worse, actually.
Yeah.
But
She seems pretty senile, too.
she speaks in rhyme. It's weird. It's weird. But she has bad moments. And
In rhyme? What do you...
well, the way she talks, the bus will go here and then the bus will go there because that's what buses do. And it's weird. The whole thing is weird. This is not a president of the United States future. And I think they probably have some kind of a primary. And
Oh, but she is part of the future.
Boy, she is. Now, Brian, correct me if I'm wrong here, but if Biden leaves, she becomes president. And then technically she will be 47.
Correct. If Biden dies or resigns or whatever, then yes, Vice President Harris will immediately assume the office of President of the United States, which means Trump will have to wait until number 48, which means he might need to rebrand some of his merchandise.
What a way to sell new merchandise again, right?
What's interesting about that is that I'm old enough to remember the Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky scandal. And I remember at the time thinking, and I was just a teenager, but I was thinking what Clinton should do is resign and say, I've messed up and I need to step back and, deal with my family. Al Gore would have then become president, served a year or so, and would have ran as the incumbent in 2000. And I think that, that probably would have given him another 600 votes in Florida, right?
Yeah.
Unless he screwed up, but as long as you don't screw anything major up. So I wonder if the Democrats are going to try that now. Obviously we don't know what the status of the president is. He could be incapacitated. He could be dead for all we know. But I could see them urging him to resign so that America starts to get used to the idea of Kamala Harris as the president, which makes it easier to vote for her in November. But of course, that means she would need to not screw up majorly, which is no guarantees.
No guarantees there. Yeah, folks, over on WorldNet Daily over on X, we posted the video. This is the last time Joe Biden was seen by the public, July 17. That is 5 days ago. And if you go over there, you can, great. Here's the video. You guys are fast. I love it. Joe Biden is being escorted into his black SUV. And I guess he was leaving an event somewhere.
He's getting real slow.
Yeah, he kind of feels like, hey, that's not the normal SUV. Where's the limo?
He just laid down on his stomach, I think, and they pushed his legs in to close the door.
Wasn't there a song about him in Petticoat Junction? There's Uncle Joe. He's a moving kind of slow at the junction.
That's great.
But we got Grandpa Joe there. Just it looks like he needs a little WD-40 in the joints.
Right.
You spray it in his ear.
All right. Well, I want to. We need to move on to our next story here, but just real quick, let's just go around the horn here. Brian, where do you think we head here? Where is the Democrat Party going? What do you see as next?
Well, they're all lining up behind Kamala Harris right now. But time will tell if that holds. You saw in the AOC clip how, she says behind the scenes, people are not happy with her either. So it's possible that they're just going to prop her up over the next 3 weeks leading into the convention and see how she does on the stump, see how the American people respond. And if there's positive movement in the polls, if they get the media on board, the media is already doing their puff pieces on her. They might then, okay, we're going to nominate her. But then if there's a negative reaction, if, the polls look like she's going to lose badly too, maybe they just throw open the convention and open it up to anybody. And it also depends on if they think they can actually win this November. If they think they're going to win, they're going to put forward their best candidate. If they think they're going to lose, they might just put someone out as a sacrificial lamb.
Yeah, that's kind of like what it feels like. I mean, I can't imagine being Gavin Newsom or somebody that has really been prepped to have a big future in the party. Josh Shapiro, I think, is a governor that was highly liked, if that's the right term for it, within the Democrat Party. That for them to step up and say, "Oh yeah, I'll go up against Trump." I mean, Joe, what do you think? You think there's anybody else other than Kamala that would fall on their sword to just kind of get through this?
Hell yes. And Big Mike is the first person that comes to mind. We got Michelle Obama out there. There's going to be an Obama connection to this somehow. Keep in mind, we've got a big story at WorldNet Daily. I think it's our Skyline story all the way at the top now, that they did not endorse Kamala Harris right away, as Joe Biden supposedly did, if he indeed wrote that letter. But the Obamas went out of their way with a very lengthy statement on this. And they said, oh, we're in uncharted waters now, uncharted waters as we head into the Democrat National Convention. And we're going to let it play out there. But we could see Michelle Obama either at the top of the ticket or a vice presidential candidate. We talked about this previously in another program about the possibility of Barack Obama being a vice presidential candidate, because there are people saying that the wording of the constitutional amendments do not preclude him from running for vice president. He can't run for president again, but it's an open question as to whether he can run for vice president. And then, Kamala or whoever's at the top of the ticket would step aside. But, people have been saying that Barack Obama is the one who has actually been president for the last 3+ years. So it is it's not a big step and not a big leap for people to see that it could be Obama, one of the Obamas at least, being on the ticket.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, Josh. Yeah, I mean, where do
I can already see the mainstream pundits going like, "This is great. This is so awesome that this can be done. Obama's back." And maybe then they'll start to say things like that they're so afraid of, right? Like maybe he could be our king. They're so nuts. They just do whatever they're told. These are the voters on the left.
Yeah, they're so just whatever anybody else but Trump. It really didn't matter.
Yeah.
It really didn't matter. I mean, that's why they formed and coalesced around Joe Biden in 2020 when they had so many great candidates up there. If you're a Democrat, you must have been inspired by so many of the great Democrat candidates that were running in 2020.
Matt, can I throw something out? I think it's super important. We talked about this since we've been doing this live stream. We talked about the systematic way the Democrat machine does their process. So first they throw out like a early warning in the Clooney letter, right, which is drafted by the Obamas. Then the media starts to go after Biden's staff. Why isn't he? This is all after the debate. Why isn't he dropping out? It's so crazy that he's not dropping out. We didn't know that he was this cognitively impaired. And then Biden says nope, and Jill Biden, with her hand up his rear, puppets him to say, "We're not leaving. We're going to stay here." And then I start to see tweets, right? Like people start saying the threat process is next. They tried all the levers. Now the next will be a threat. And we don't know what the threat was, or if there was one. We do know that suddenly, though, after all of the fight, and folks, he did a speech, right? Folks, I'm still in it to win it, or whatever he was saying. After that, all of a sudden he's gone from someone that has his Twitter account.
Yeah,
I just want to point out, 18 hours before that letter came out on Sunday with his supposed resignation. 18 hours before, the very previous post on his X account, he put a little video up there of Donald Trump saying this is the most important election in years. And Biden said, I agree with Donald Trump. Finally, for once, this is the most important election in years, and I will win it. So just 18 hours before this mysterious letter shows up, he says he's in the election and I will win it. What happened to have on Sunday afternoon, midday, this mysterious letter come out saying, oh, I'm out of the race now for the good of the country. It's just so absurd, mysterious, however you want to say it. Very intriguing.
Yeah, it is. It is mysterious. I don't know if we're ever going to find out the real truth of what's going on. But we'll have to hold out. Meanwhile, it's been a week and 2 days since the attempted assassination on President Trump at that Butler rally in Pennsylvania. And Joe, you have you've been writing furiously over there.
That's what I do.
At WND.com. But kind of where are we now? Because the head of the Secret Service was up on the Hill this morning being grilled by both sides of the aisle in Congress. And but there's a lot of mysteries being raised. And the people asking questions aren't your typical Alex Jones type folks. This is Senator Ron Johnson. This is Senator Josh Hawley. I think Representative Eli Crane, if I get his name correct, was on top of the shooter's perch today, live streaming from there. So, I mean, there's a lot of prominent people asking a lot of questions about the failures of the Secret Service. Were there multiple shooters or were there multiple weapons being used? Because there's some sound analysis that's going on out there. And, we take all of this stuff with a grain of salt, even the stuff that comes from official channels, I might add.
Absolutely.
So Joe, where can you give us a little bit of a rundown here of where you think we're at?
Well, as you mentioned, Ron Johnson went on national TV yesterday with Fox Business's Maria Bartiromo on Sunday Morning Futures and stated outright, there is video and audio out there of at least 3 different weapons being used in this shooting. And the video is in there, so you can click on the story and watch it and listen to it. But the first one is a bang, bang, bang. And then there's a pause. And then there's bang, 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 5 shots in rapid fire staccato fashion. And then one final one, boom, like that. So 3 different weapons. The final one may have been the law enforcement shooting the shooter dead. But it's very mysterious how the actual sound of these weapons were very different and different amounts of time in between each shot. So Ron Johnson is speculating that there is at least 3 weapons. Now, today, the head of the Secret Service, Director Kim Cheadle, is her official name. People have been calling her Kim Cheetos because of her connection to Frito-Lay. But she was up there by subpoena, being grilled by members of the House Oversight Committee, and she basically refused to answer any direct questions. She was very general. She's the master at stonewalling and evading and dodging questions. You talk about Trump being able to dodge bullets. She's able to dodge bullets just as well when the bullets are questions from congressmen. But you had Republicans and Democrats. I mean, AOC of all people was out there grilling her and giving her a rough time. Nancy Mace said that she was full of SH. You can fill in the blanks there for the rest of that word. But this is how frustrated the members of Congress were because she is not providing any solid answers about the perimeter and how this young man was able to dodge all the security measures of the greatest security force in the world, the United States Secret Service. And people are pointing him out up there. He's up there on the roof, that super sloped roof of 5 degrees or whatever it was.
Dangerously sloped.
Right. And nobody has any answers forthcoming. So, and I think she said there was going to be 60 days before we know anything. She said, hey, it's only been 9 days since this event. I can't really provide you any solid answers at this time.
Yeah, but but even when there was a local incident, Even when there's a local, even like a mass, even a mass shooting that's a major incident, but localized, similar to this, you have that takes place in a small community or something. You'll have the sheriff or the police chief come out and give that press conference and lay down the timeline of what happened. We have so much video. This thing happened live. We have the president's own take. He relayed everything that happened from his perspective at the RNC last week. There is no reason for her to be sitting up there and going, "Oh, this is under investigation, so I can't comment," which is the thing that we hear from these officials over and over and over again. And so, she has to have known. I mean, everybody knew that she was going to be coming forward here on Monday, and that those types of answers are not the answers that are going to be acceptable to the American people or their representatives in Congress. Brian, what's your perspective on this? I mean, you're watching this from your point of view and looking at it from a historical and very reasonable and reasoned outlook on this. What do you see going forward here?
Well, regarding the shooting itself, I don't want to do any speculation there. I'm not an expert on video or audio or gunshots, so I'll leave the speculation to others. But what really strikes me about the way in which Director Cheadle is appearing before the House of Representatives is that our system is supposed to work in that the elected representatives, the people who are actually elected by the people, they have to come back every 2 years in the case of Congress people for validation by the voters to be reelected. They're supposed to be exerting oversight over the executive branch, the bureaucracy, and the Secret Service is part of that bureaucracy. And yet it seems like it's the other way around. It seems like it's the Secret Service is actually calling the shots here, and the Department of Homeland Security and all the other executive branch departments, they decide what they're doing. They don't care what our representatives say. Over the weekend, Senator Josh Hawley tried to go to the scene in Butler, Pennsylvania, and the FBI asked him to leave. Who's actually in charge here? Who's actually calling the shots? And of course, there's no actual responsibility. Who was it? President Truman had the bowl of, the sign that said, the buck stops here. Well, Director Cheadle said that she takes full responsibility, but she's not going to resign. So what does it actually mean to take full responsibility? It's just a meaningless phrase that you throw out there to try and placate people. There's no responsibility for this. There's no responsibility for anything that's gone wrong in the last 4 years. They disperse responsibility throughout this unelected and unaccountable bureaucracy so that there's nobody the American people can actually look to and say, you're the one who, has to take responsibility for this.
Right. Josh, maybe you can speculate.
I love to, Matt.
Yeah, let's get some speculation here. What is going on? I feel like I said, that Jim Halpert meme from The Office. He's like, what is going on? Like, it really is what is going on around here.
We actually thought about going to the location to go film there, and the shooting in Pennsylvania. And I thought, no, they're going to have it locked down still for the investigation. For what? We saw a guy on the roof spraying it down with a hose a few days ago. This is a photo that came out on X. What's going on? Are they going to go now try to fingerprint the water tower? So there's one thing is, like, there's been some great graphic depictions of what likely happened in any case. The idea that their security perimeter didn't extend to the building, for me, is the most glaring issue. I'll give you an example. So presidents don't ride in convertibles after Kennedy was shot in one. We don't do that anymore. I think in the future, it won't make sense to do outdoor venues. We'll look at it the same way we look at convertibles. It's just too much of a risk. And why? Well, because people can get to elevated positions and fire a projectile at you. But this wasn't even like something you'd see out of a movie where you'd need like a futuristic rifle to shoot over the curvature of the earth. This is just a building. It's just 400 feet away. No big deal. So,
what,
or 550 or whatever it is.
Yeah. What is the again, I am so appreciative that senators and representatives and people with some sort of clout in mainstream media are asking questions. And one of the questions that I saw asked is why was, and you alluded to it right now, is this is a crime scene,
Yeah.
And why wasn't it when it was over? Like they were moving, like Corey Caporatori. I'm sorry if I mispronounced his last name, but if he was, his body was hauled away.
Right.
You know,
they moved him right away.
Right
That's
away.
a great point, Matt, because that's ballistics information right there.
Exactly. And it was clear that he was done. Like he had passed away. I mean, it was a headshot, I believe. And so why would you immediately move the body when there's people still standing around there? And I guess, you don't know if there's going to be more shooting going on, and maybe they felt like they could render aid to him. I don't know those types of protocols. Yeah. But it just, again, those are the questions that I mean, there was a question to Cheadle today that said, you don't have to say yes or no to the question, but do you know the answer? You don't have to give us the answer, but do you even know what the answer is, even if you can't divulge it? And she wouldn't even go there. And so it's very concerning. And again, as you pointed out earlier, our country is in a vulnerable state right now. And I pray for it. I pray for all of the leaders. I pray for everybody with some sort of finger on the trigger of anything.
Matt, we have some of that video to play. It looks like right here, some of her testimony.
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's watch some of this raw footage here. Yeah.
You know what it looks like, Director? It looks like you won't answer some pretty basic questions. It looks like you got a 9% raise and you cut corners when it came to protecting one of the most important individuals, most well-known individuals on the planet. A former president, likely the guy's going to be the next president. Looks like you guys were cutting corners. That's what it looks like to me. Is that true?
I am here today because I want to answer questions, but I also want to be cautious.
You might want to, but you haven't answered. I don't think you've answered one question from the chairman, the ranking member, or me. Well, we got a lot of other people asking.
Will you pause it real quick?
Record improves.
I'm sorry. Our Republicans are a freaking joke. Jim Jordan, what a moron. It looks like we can cutting some corners there and you got a 9% raise. What in the hell is he talking about? I'm sorry. Go ahead and keep playing it. This is so dumb.
Right now, you haven't answered, I don't think, any questions. I yield back.
Yeah.
You know what
I mean, what they should do is command the sergeant at arms there to just, hold her in contempt and haul her away.
Whose argument is he making? Like he mentioned that she got a raise. Who cares?
He's trying to shame her. He's trying to shame her because that's all they can do. All they can do is shame people. They have no other authority. I mean, the Democrats have authority. They put Steve Bannon in jail. They put Peter Navarro in jail.
Yeah,
right. But the Republicans never do that.
They use their power.
Mm-hmm. Do they? Is that what they do? You mean like taking out a sitting president while he's 5 days from being seen? You're right. The most powerful people in the world right now are the Democrats.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure here going over this stuff for you. I encourage everyone to follow us on X, follow us on Rumble. Josh, what are the links? Where do people go? We've been showing comments on the screen today. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, guys, go follow us over at worldnetdaily.com. WorldNet Daily on X. That's the big one because everything gets censored. Everything gets throttled. It is real. We can see it. X does not. So we'd love you to follow us there. Rumble is huge. That'll be our future platform where censorship will be, it'll be harder to do over there. Of course, we have a large Facebook following. We love our Facebook followers. And on the next stream, what I'm looking for, I'm looking up in the corner here going, I want to see some comments from folks. And we love that you watched us today. So we thank you for that.
Great. All right, folks, on behalf of Brian, Joe, and Josh here, we will see you on Wednesday. Have a great and blessed day.
Thanks, everybody.
Oh, I'd love to be an Oscar Mayer
End of quote.